Let's start off with a basic tutorial on artifacts. Artifacts are exclusive armors that range from 2-star to 4-star. Technically, it goes to 5, but we'll get into that later on in the video. Characters on the image of the artifact can equip that artifact as armor, but stat-wise, they are awful, so we don't really want to be doing that. The real purpose behind the artifact is to max limit break them. To max limit break an artifact, we get one base artifact and then fuse 3 duplicates of the same rarity and the same character on the base, and then we level it up to max. Once we level it up to max, we take into a screen where we get a passive and then a CP cost, and that is ours to keep. We can equip the passive using the character's CP as well. A 4-star artifact that is maximum broken to 5-star gets 2 effects under 1 passive. Once a artifact is maximum broken, it no longer has any purpose in your inventory, so you can either sell it for money or use it to help in maximum breaking other artifacts. So what's our goal with the artifacts? It's simple. We need to maximum break 4-star artifacts. We need to forget 3 and 2 stars as well. And then get the best 2 effects on one artifact passive for as little CP as possible. Now the question you guys may be asking is, what kind of effects do we get from artifact passives? Well, let's go into it. To better understand the effects we get from artifacts, I decided to split this into 2 different groups. So on the left hand side we see stats. So you can get a boost to your stats, so that includes attack, defense, HP, max brave and initial brave, or ability focused, which is on the right. So that can improve the efficiency of your first move, your second move. It can make your level 50 passive better. Side note, not every character gets the level 50 passive being improved. Some do, some don't. It really does depend on the character. And then finally, there's like an artifact specific effect that some characters get. Like some characters can get break speed, some characters can get brave guard up, some characters can get brave attack up. It really does depend on the character, and it's kind of specific. So there's only a certain group of characters who get certain abilities, and I haven't been able to determine exactly yet what determines that. If I had to make a guess, I would say that it is down to the crystal strength color, but that's still a hypothesis at this point. So what will happen is once you limit break your artifact, you'll get any one of the 2 here. Sometimes it can be like either 2 stat boosts, 2 ability boosts, or 1 stat boost and 1 ability boost, and it's increased by a certain value. So for stats, you'll get stat plus a number. For abilities, however, you'll get the name of ability and 1 or 2 stars. So to know that you've got the very best boost, that stat color will be in like a reddish orange kind of text. So when you see it in that color, that means that you've gotten the highest stat boost possible from that. And that goes the same for abilities as well. So for abilities, you get 2 stars, and then 2 stars, the whole of that will be in the reddish orange color, and that'll tell you you've gotten the best of this. Abilities tend to be like 10% increase, where stats go up to, I think it's a value of just over 100. So that's one thing to note. I'll show some screenshots to help make this sound a little bit easier to understand. Here's some examples from my JP account of some artifact passives. As you guys can see here, one of the passives is in that orangey red kind of text, as I mentioned before. So that means I'm getting the very best of that stat increase. For those who are unable to read Japanese, I believe this is defense. So it can go up as high as 126. So that's pretty cool. And then you guys can see here, I have a passive that's an ability passive, which is maxed out. And you can see the 2 stars next to it as well. So that means that it gets a 10% increase in performance and damage wise. And that's really good. And these are the kind of effects we want to aim for. If you're really lucky, you can, and I've seen it many times on Twitter, you can get 2 of the red passives in one artifact effect. So that is the very pinnacle of what we want to bet. So if you want to be that meticulous of how good you want your characters to be, then you got to aim for the effects with 2 and also very low CP cost. So it can be as low as 5 and it can go as high as 15. So you want to aim for 5, but you know, others like values like 10 and 12 aren't that bad either. I just want to show you guys here an example as well. So this is a character, like my Vivi here, who has 3 artifact passives here. So as you guys can see, it's a visual example of what I was talking about. So we can have up to 3 of these passives, and that's it. So let's do a visual representation of the artifact process. I'm using my JP account for this because I have no artifacts on my global account. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But I think it might be easier this way as well. So, are we using Vaughn, Ash, and Penelo, Final Fantasy 12 hype? And hopefully that'll help us to get a better understanding of how it all works. So, I've got my 4-star Vaughn here, and I need to get it maxed out. So first and foremost, I need to use my duplicates. So I've got my duplicate Vaughns here. And when you're doing artifacts, you kind of want to focus on one character at one time. It makes managing the process a lot easier and makes it less stressful. At least that's for me anyway. So I'm all about Vaughn, so I'm happy to use up all my other 4 stars as well. So I'll be using Penelo here, and some Ash too. I'm going to keep going, and keep going. Oh, not enough. But that's fine, so I'm going to fuse them. One thing to note, artifacts do get the bonus as well from like the Great and Amazing, or whatever it's called. So they can get extra XP. So that is one thing to note as well. Were we lucky here? No, we weren't. But we did get a boost, so that's good. So now I'm just going to use up my artifacts. We ideally want to use up our lower levels first, and then move on to the higher levels, because our higher level artifacts are more valuable. Okay, so now I can max out this artifact here. So I'm going to do that now. Oh, nice. And we get a 5-star! Woo! So now, once we've done that, it turns gold. It looks pretty cool. And then when I click next, I'll be taken to a screen where I'll get I'll get 2 random effects and then a CP cost. So let's go. So, not great. Not great. You guys won't understand, but I got an attack up plus 24 and HP plus 230 for 15 CP. Now, for me, you have to get a really, really good effect in order to really see a CP 15 artifact passive as being viable, because it is a lot of CP to use. So, in my opinion, when you get CP 15, unless it's like 2 maxed out passives, you kind of just have to like discard it. So, for my Vaughn here, I already have 3 passives already, so I can get the choice. I can either discard it, or I can replace one of my other passives with it. So I'll show you guys the screen what happens. So as you guys can see here, I now have the choice. I can either overwrite any of the 3 passives here, which means I'll lose them permanently, but then I'll gain the passives here. I'm not going to, because my Vaughn passives are quite decent, but I thought I'd give you guys just a visual representation of the screen. So I'm not going to keep this passive. It's going. Goodbye. It's terrible. But that's pretty much it, really. This passive now will stay in my inventory and have no further use other than me selling it, or me using it to max and break some other passives. So one thing to do know about artifact effects, and I want to stress this like big time. Artifact effects stack. So if you get like 3 attack boosts, all 3 will give you attack boosts. So once again, guys, artifacts, they stack. Okay, so what I tend to do with my 5-star artifacts once they're in my inventory and taking up space is that I do use them when maximum breaking the same character. So like you guys can see here, I've got fun, I can still use it, and I get extra XP as well, so that's really cool. One of the things I do is that I normally wait until I have 2 5-star ones, because then that pretty much puts me more or less very close to max level. But that's about it for artifacts, really. That is the nitty-gritty of it all. Depending on how obsessive you are, you can make your characters really, really good and set them apart from other people's characters as well. I mean, they're not essential, really, but if you really want to make your character that bit better, if you want to min-max, make the best character you can possibly get, artifact grinding will be your way. I am fairly casual with my artifact grinding. I can be quite extreme for some characters. Like right now in JP, I'm doing multiplayer constantly to get Noctis artifacts, so I can get my Noctis to be that much better. But again, there's no pressure, it's all down to you. Just finishing up, let's talk about how we're going to be able to get artifacts. So later on down the line, the World of Illusions will have the option to select a world where you can go in and then grind for artifacts. As you guys can see here with this here, you will be able to get artifacts depending on the Crystal Awakening color of that character. So as you guys can see, it's split into 2 groups: black, yellow and white in one, red, blue and green in another. So it's going to be quite hard to be able to get the character that you do want. The game is quite generous in terms of artifact events. So for example, if there's like a new event or a monthly thing, they'll focus on certain characters and trim down the artifact pool to be like 3 certain characters. As you guys could have seen it in my demonstration of the system, there was an artifact dungeon that focused solely on Ash, Vaughn and Penelo, and I was able to use that to be able to just focus on those 3 characters only. So I don't know how Global is going to do it. It might do its own thing like it seems to be doing so far, but I reckon that the split on the crystal strength will be done, and then the characters they focus on will be on the discretion of the developers. But I don't think I have anything more to say on artifacts other than that. Have fun with it, guys. Grind to your heart's content or don't care. It's all down to you. It's all down to you. You are the one who makes the experience of your artifacts. So don't feel pressured. Don't feel too pressured into doing something you don't want to do. If you don't want to grind to artifacts, that's fine. But if you do, then enjoy. Absolutely enjoy. Anyway, guys, this is my guide in the artifact system. I hope you guys all enjoyed. I thank you all for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Show a little love to that like button too. Helps me out. And I will see you for the next video. Cheerio! Oh, just one last thing before I conclude this video properly. Dissidia DB, I'm going to give it another shout out. Guys, if you aren't using Dissidia DB, you're missing out. Dissidia DB is a fantastic resource. And guys, all part of their site, they also show you the effects that you can get from artifacts as well. So as you can see, I'm on Waka's page here, and Waka gets Brave Initiative, Debuff Attack Up, Mighty Dark Attack, and Bravery Great Daring. So these are the kind of passives that you can expect to get from artifacts when it comes to specific characters. So that's one thing to note as well. Once again, guys, it's DissidiaDB.com. They will give you a list of character passes as well, which you can check out. And yeah, the site is fantastic. I use it all the time, and it's one site you guys should be using as well. But yeah, with that plug out the way, this will really be it for this video. Anyway, bye bye.